Mr. Speaker, this morning at the University of Winnipeg, I joined others to watch the announcement by the Commissioners of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of their findings. The findings mark a turning point in the relationships among all people in Canada, and particularly with respect to the important place Aboriginal people and Aboriginal culture have had in the history of our country and continue to have today. The findings mark a much clearer understanding of what happened during the 7 generations of the residential school experience, in which about 150,000 Aboriginal children were put in residential schools. The findings show that the efforts made during the time of the residential schools represented a cultural genocide in which many children were removed from their families against their will, subjected to mistreatment and physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and sexual abuse, and attempts were made to remove their cultural traditions from them and to replace them with others. The findings allow us to better understand the multi-generational effects of the trauma so many experienced during the time of their going to residential schools. The traumas have been previously acknowledged and apologized for. We now better understand as Canadians the extent of what we have apologized for and continue to apologize for. The release of the report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission marks a turning point in another way, a turning point in showing all of us as Manitobans and Canadians a pathway forward, a pathway outlined in the report based on the treaties and based on implementing in Canada the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. It is a pathway with many carefully written recommendations, including recommendations calling improvements in child welfare. As Justice Murray Sinclair said earlier today, the Commission has shown us the mountain, and it is now up to us to climb it. I want to acknowledge the many survivors who were brave enough to share their story with the Commission. I want also to say a thank you to the 3 commissioners, Justice Murray Sinclair, Dr. Marie Wilson, and Chief Welton Littlechild, and to all those who participated in the work of the Commission. In the very nature of the stories which were told and heard, it was tough work. To the commissioners and all those involved, we say collectively as Manitobans and as Canadians, thank you, Miigwech Ekusi.